Since day 667 in Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. Today's Arukh HaShulchan Yomi is sponsored by Reb Daniel Kislin for a exclusive unfortunately for his father Avram Schara ben Miriam. If you'd like to sponsor upcoming Shemar Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, please contact me directly. We greatly appreciate it. They were doing Simon Shin Tzadiches Yud Ches to Shin Tzadiches Yud Gimel. So, Yud Ches. So Shlosh Kvar Mishulashim. There's a tripod of cities, like a triangle. Yeshua Yem Tzay Ben Kol Chitzonim in between the middle one and each one of the outer ones. There's 2,000 amos or less, so the sides of the triangle less than 2,000 amos. Between the two outer ones, there is Reish Pegim Amos Pachos Shlish, 282.67 amos. The Bad Rochel Yem Tzay, besides the width of the middle city. The middle city is the civic continues down and then measure that on from either side of the width. I should say, when the middle one stands opposite the two outer ones, they're all like a segel, 3 dots. If the middle one stands between the two outer ones, were to stand lower down in the same line as the two outer ones, there would be from the middle one to each one of the outer ones. Kuf mem alf amos shlish, 141 and the third amos, which 141 the third plus 141 and the third was the number we talked about before, 282 and 2/3. Arukh HaShulchan, like one city. Umodanim lehem alpayim amos chutz mehem, and the 2,000 amos starts beyond this tripod, and you have to square it off as well, obviously. Avshesh mehem tzay ben kol chom yitzanim, and the legs of the triangle are more Yosem and Alpayim Mama are more than 2,000 amos. Aim Simon said they don't join together. Came with Yosem Tchum Shabbos, it's more than Tchum Shabbos. Much Kasav, like we wrote, because you could catch us by the U-shaped city, when the gap between the imaginary string and the bow is a two receive for you base, or a two receive your base, that they well, it says more than Chum Shabbos, you can't consider that the city starts the Chum starts for the middle part of the city from the Yester at the bottom, from the bow at the bottom. That which allowed, however, there when between two sides of the U, that's less than 4,000 hours. It's because their houses throughout the entire U. As opposed to our case where there are no houses between the middle village on top and the two villages down below. And the truth is that in our case, you can have between the two outer cities more than 4,000 amos if the middle city is large enough. If the middle city is large enough, then we draw down from the pinnacle of the triangle down to here. There would be they will not remain between it and the outer one on each side more than 141 amos in a third. Was that low down? It's not all like the two ends of the U. We should the Bakan Onu Malim Achalim, because here we fill up the space in the middle with the hypothetical movement of the middle city. You test because you don't measure from the middle, but rather from its walls. End quote. We say that the middle one is between the two outer ones. Who could it's measured from the outer ones from this outer one, measure 2,000 beginning of that outer one, and that outer one can measure 2,000 amos beginning from this outer one. But the middle one, the top, which is the pinnacle of the triangle, the apex, can only come from it. If we're going to measure from the outer ones at that point, it's going to lose there. They're going to lose to the other side where it stands. I'm not sure exactly what that means. So the answer yeah. Going to do it like this, and you're going to measure from the middle one over here, from the side over here. It should lose that on the other side. Although I don't know why he's not talking about the ribua. Maybe we'll talk about it later. You can't just have a tour. That's what the tour writes. Mishnah says the Allah, we don't hold that way. We hold that even the top one can measure from the sides of the chitzonim. because then the rabbis go after Mako. And the measure of the 2,000 amos from outside the outer cities, and the one on the top does not lose anything as a result. Back to Arukh Vokas of a tour. Lo mean rowing. Kilo am says don't say that we see the middle one as if it's standing behind between the two outer ones. Unless it can fit between the two outer ones. I mean, local kach, if it was too big, you can't slow to this man wouldn't fit between the two of them. Lord mean rowing, don't say it's rowing as if it's down there with them. I ain't sure. Rabbi Rama was here. The Rama doesn't hold such a distinction. Like I said, that told me to says to Tosis, which of course not no good about us right now. Bechov. Irshu Sheva says fast and Achli, it's the town which sits on a riverbank. Shovitim Yavation Mishtam, normally the river's dry and they use the river bed. Shame on the Shaskash, it only comes full when it's raining. Im Yeshivan Mechitza Baruchov Arba Amos as fast and Achal. If there's a wall of 4 amos on the bank of the river, so they stand and use the river. So the river is part of the city. And you can measure 2 times on the other side of that nachal. And the entire body is a technical term. It's found is part of the city. Not because of its usage only, and they but because the wall which they built on its side. Evidently, the wall is on the other side. In other words, here's the city, here's the nachal, and the wall is on the other side, because that wall puts things into the city. That they revealed including this riverbank in the city. The river bed in the city. Next of that, so this is considered to be it's all considered to be one structure, and the yard, I guess, up to the so it's on the other side. The wall is on the same side of the riverbank, but it's as if because there's a wall on the side of the river. Here's the river, right? Here's the bank, and here's with the wall on top, and the houses are back here somewhere. But since you built a wall right there, so that wall is considered to be the edge of the town, and this or the edge, so therefore that this so called ear that they want to include the river in the city because otherwise they wouldn't build a smack on the river bank. Next to the therefore it's considered like a structure, that wall. Like a building, and then the wadi like the chutzah. There wasn't a wall there. We can only imagine from the end of the houses. Can't go up to the bank. Though they're using the wadi without a wall. That's still like any other land. Even though they're using ain't svara. There's no logic to be included in the reckoning of the tchum. In that case, the body would be included within the 2,000 amos. The Arukh says, when the houses themselves are significant, so they're part of the entire city, which is considered to be Dal Amos, and we imagine 2,000 amos from all those houses. Anyway, going on to brackets here. General question: every time you use outside the city, is that place you consider part of the chum? Ein sham. I'm astonished. They say it's because it's the wall. If you locate, if that's not onto below mechitza, ain't really shtamish. Tashish what? They can't use the body without a wall. Rather, it's like we explained before. That means that the house goes up to so the house goes all the way up to that wall, which is made in order to use the river. Sometimes they're afraid to use it on the riverbank. If there's no wall there, it's not suitable to use because the bank is installed. They wrote it's part of the city. Because the wall, I'm so much of the below mechitza lab klumi. It sounds without the wall, it's nothing. Even they use it. The Duke. Rabbo says also not to be mako. And the wadi itself, the opinion of some Rishonim is that they argue and hold it is part of 2,000 amos. In any event, so we can't be more makel and say that that in the case where there's no mechitza, you still consider the riverbed as part of the city. We explain according to the Ram and Shulchan, who explain that way. The Gemara, about a town sitting on the riverbank. It's not considered to be a body of water. And a valley. And the houses go up and up to the valley. The wall there, here's the divide between the valley and the city. You should be afraid to use those outskirts of the city in that direction because they're behind the wall. So therefore, when there's a wall, where there's a wall, they measure the tchum from the end of the houses, like you would in any city. There is no such wall. Then they are like people who live in huts. They measure for everybody from the opening of their house. Not from the city. Rush was the same thing. But because a donkey came to it, it's the same thing. Al Shapir Nachal Nahar. But explains the wadi is not a river bed, but a river. And Sha'ir shows some Amek, such as where the city sits in a valley, and there's a river in front of it. If it's there's a wall 4 amos around it, you can measure from the wall. And if not, lo chashiva kier, it's not going to be like a city. Still count for each one from the opening of his house. For now, because it's sitting in a valley with a river in front of it, which is not part of its tashmishin. I don't know what caused that's the Rambam and the Rambam Shmuel changed the Pshat and Rashi. The Dina really called Pushim Emes. I think all Pushim apply. Look up a Perush Shas below the Dina. I'm not going to interpret the case of the Shas, but everybody agrees to halacha. It says back with Shulchan Levi Rakli Rambam Yusham Yusham. Shulchan brings the Rambam Yafsidi Yushami. Chapes Yoshit seems. I mean, people live in huts. And Shishim Baalim, they live in tents. Shosim Miltim Harava made out of twigs and willows. Of Elam Kli smoking. They're not permanently in any place. They sit here for some time. And they go to another place. Elam Dini here. The Rambam is the halach of a city. Everybody has measured 2 amos from the opening of his door. The Mishabura says if they're kavu in one place, then they're like a city. It's like a Bedouin encampment, which is there for a long time. Prima is not sure what's considered to be a permanent time. Tzadzian writes that the no, we did not. Okay. No, we did that. Go from the house. The Sharatzian says that from the opening house, it's not like the opening house in all the halachas and previously. That there means from the wall of the city, but here it's 2,000 amos from each house, which seems to be obvious. Okay, so back to Arukh HaShulchan. In Yeshem Hek of Mechitza, they have a circumference of all 10 fachim, or a trench which is 10 fachim deep. Now so here than like a city and you can measure from the end of the wall, the houses from the wall, or from the trench, which signs them of permanence. That there's 3 yards, of 2 houses, kavuim, which are permanent, of stone, of brick boards, then they drag all the rest of the huts into the kviyos. Here, and they're like a city of Marabim Mosam, and we square them off. We give them a paim amal kol ruach, 2 amos in each direction. Sharios like other cities. Finally, it's part of the Shuk. We already looked at a city where they first made the wall and then they settled it. When we saw Batim, then the wall doesn't count. You measure from the ends of the houses. But it was settled and then they made the mechitza. You measure from the wall. I feel like even the wall is distant from the house. These bar seafood bases will explain the seafood base. Sea base will explain already previously. Nation Choma base dira, and if in the wall there is a place for somebody to live, we also said money time Choma. You always measure from the wall. Shin side test. But somebody. How do we measure tchum, and what is the quality of the measurement? Of emonim chumaya b'chavel shabishon shel cham shama. Use a rope of linen, which is 50 amos. L'pachas, not less. The nation will need to be yoser. If it's less longer than that, it can be pulled and extended longer. L'orach yosemi, and not longer than that. Nation machbiv and let's get to whatever they can't stretch it properly. Why don't we use metal chains? Metal is the best thing to measure with. The said, he said, I think the Malach was standing with a rope of measurement. So you see a measurement with a rope. So Pishtan, with its linen, Tov Yesem Dida, it's best to measure with Kol Chavon and all other ropes. Yechezel Kusiv, and Yechezel says, he had a linen line in his hand. Yerushalmi, I'm sorry, that's Yerushalmi. Why 50 amas Kusiv? Rocha Chamishim Chamishim. There is a sign in the Torah. It's like a smachta. It says the width of the chutzner is 50 by 50, and length was 50 by 50. Amar Torah, b'chavel shel chamishim amah medod. So measure with a 50 amah long rope. Base, if there's a river in front of the house, in front of the city, at the end of 75 amos, yesh plukta b'Yerushalmi. Chana mashemani chamishim amah. Some say measure 50 amos. Chamisha asim in other words, it goes down after 75 amos. So one says you measure with 50 amos. The chamisha ve'esrim, measure one. So that's 50 amos, right? Which is the first thing I was to see. Chamisha ve'esrim, next 25, you double chavish arba amos. You count with a rope of 4 amos. In Charam one says, Shachashim double chamishim, after you measure 50, all 50, close acharov, you will go back. As you become 25 amos. I don't know you measure with the rope until the river. The came with Shagamar Shalom, the loose crab is there, Chavish arba amos. Since we don't, our Gemara doesn't mention a rope of 4 amos, like Kaima, Shkoz acharov, you have to go back. It's like leaning on Rosh Chodesh, go back a pasuk. Because I've been a bit say so, Meir Shana, Hanor Rochav, Yotzim Chavayim Amma. So the river itself is 125 amos wide. It's only 25 or less. So you're fine. You can still use the rope of 50 amos. Takia, never know. It's going to reach the other side of the river. No problem. Says Arukh HaShulchan, we said before, for this is clear that not all the chesed b'al tchum. The river counts as part of the chesed and tchum. Shami Sham Omer Shami says the Archamish Amma Roin Kilu Malay offer throws. Up to 50 amos, look at the river as if it's full of dirt and stones. Klamar v'nimdan kecharcha chalak. You don't have to go down. It's a depression. It's measured like straight road. Yes, it's more than 50 amos. As well as kilo misrapes. So let misrapes you already see if it's going down or going up. You have to measure each segment separately. Here Shazel came Mekachim Barim. It's like the Yerushalmi Bavi speaks about drilling a hole into the ground, hypothetical hole. So you get more that way because 4 amos going up is shorter than 4 amos going through that drilled hole. And it's like she's but me I should not mention how you mentioned the river. What's in the tchum? The Daishon Dezesha Marnu Shemachsi Kach V'Kach that holds so and so much. That's only for a assessment, unofficial assessment. If we know how much it actually holds, in other words, you're without measuring, I guess I'm sorry how wide it was, then so though you don't have to measure at all. Not like Edgar Rufer, there's the you must measure. That's all you don't know. The measuring is the 2 people. You shouldn't hold the end of the rope. The whole opposite the heart. If this place cannot become a clear as this, you have like a libo. Anyway, he's going to say that one guy, the upper guy, holds it by his legs, and the lower guy holds it by his shoulders. That way, it is more horizontal. And one guy holds it by his legs, and the next guy holds it going to lower than his legs. Um. Uh. Yeah, the other obviously connected our legs, opposite the heart. The Moik Balam Makom, we didn't set a place for it, but Zayach connected Libel. This guy had how it's up his heart, was there to connect Raglov, and the other one, the second connect Raglov, and the other one opposite his legs, so the rope will be shorter in practice, but Chlis made a small chum. Because they have a couple makom kavua, chizas sachevel, tied connected legs. So the rope will all make the same. It all happens to hold opposite the heart. They should pull out the rope as much as possible. Look at doesn't, otherwise it's not going to be properly extended. They're going to get less than the actual chum, which they could have gotten. Time for the mitfah that if they could also measure by putting the rope on the ground. The only thing they can't do is that once put opposite his head and one opposite his legs. So that's obviously going to diminish the chum because he's measuring the hypotenuse of the triangle is going to be shorter than the base of the triangle.